video, I want to walk you through the 5 most common strategies financial advisors use to acquire clients. Most advisors aren't short on effort. They've tried all kinds of things. Many of them work, many of them don't. The frustration usually shows up when none of them produce consistent results, which is what we'll tackle at the end. Let's start with the most familiar approaches. These include networking events, business mixers, and local meetup groups. These are what I call effort-bound strategies, meaning the results are directly tied to the amount of personal effort you put in. If you don't show up, nothing happens. And if you do, opportunities can be created. These are opt-in environments, meaning you're there to meet people and people are there to meet you. This can be a great way to build relationships, establish trust, and generate warm introductions over time. For many advisors, this is where they often start. Now, this can absolutely work. The challenge is not the effectiveness, but the capacity. How many events can you realistically attend? How much time, energy, and physical presence can you really give? Because the growth is tied directly to how much you show up, and that works for a while. The next strategy is pure and simple outreach. Think cold calling, cold email, direct mail. These don't require your physical presence, but they are what I call interruption strategies, meaning the prospect isn't expecting to hear from you, and in most cases, they didn't ask for the information you are sending. Years ago, this worked far better. People answered their phones, they opened their emails, they were more willing to engage. Today, there's a lot more competition for attention. People are more guarded, they protect their time and inboxes, they just don't lean in as easily as they used to. Now, outreach can and does still produce results. It's the efficiency that tends to be lower these days. Trust is thinner, which means the results can vary. And the other challenge is the moment you stop, everything dries up. Next comes events. Things like seminars, both in person and online. This is what I call an educational strategy. This is where you are teaching, sharing insight. You are positioning yourself as a guide rather than a salesperson. These can work very well. They can build authority quickly, and they can create meaningful engagement with the right audience. The challenge is the work behind them. Events require a lot of planning, a lot of promotion, the right attendance, and lots of consistent follow-up. A lot has to go right for seminars to work. One strong event can create real momentum. One weak event with poor turnout, the wrong audience, low engagement can stall things completely. And even when events do work really well, they tend to create spikes, not stability. So you see activity around the event, but then things go quiet until the next event. Then there are visibility strategies. This looks like posting on LinkedIn, writing blogs, creating and sending newsletters. In short, the goal is to be seen. And this is where many advisors are spending most of their time and energy these days. Now, content absolutely serves a purpose. It builds familiarity and credibility. It helps prospects feel like they know you before they even think about reaching out. And over time, it can shorten the trust curve. The challenge, however, is that content on its own rarely creates consistent conversations or booked calls. There is a way to leverage the content and turn it into a system, but that requires intention and structure. But what I see mostly today is generic content that adds to an already noisy digital landscape. What really works is specific content that speaks to a specific pain point and then takes the right prospect on a journey. But the bottom line is this: endless content creation without a clear plan for the prospect to follow or a return on your time and investment eventually leads to exhaustion and/or frustration. Then there are volume strategies. This looks like buying leads from a vendor. You're paying someone else to generate the lead for you. You basically outsource the work. At its core, this isn't a bad strategy. It's simple, it's easy. You're not doing the outreach yourself. You're writing a check, waiting for leads to show up in your inbox, and relying on volume to produce opportunities. Someone else runs the ads and captures a lead, and then they pass those along to you. And if you have a sizable budget, this can create leads without demanding much of your time or effort. The downside is those leads are rarely exclusive. A vendor may acquire a lead for a relatively low cost and then resell that same lead to 3 or 4, sometimes even more, different advisors at a premium. You're paying a high price for a shared lead, and you still have to call the lead and book an appointment yourself. And you're often racing against other advisors who receive the exact same content. There's also a trust issue. It's difficult to find vendors who consistently deliver high quality leads and even harder to maintain those results over time. So, if you zoom out, there's a clear pattern across all of these strategies of networking, cold calling, direct mail, seminars, content, buying leads. None of these strategies are wrong, and some of them can be quite effective. They tend to break down, however, when they're used on their own. Like networking without any real leverage of your time or energy feels hard and pointless. Content that builds visibility but doesn't lead people toward a booked appointment. Seminars that educate, build trust, but they require a significant planning and coordination and don't feel sustainable over time. So the real question becomes, what if there were a way to take the best parts of these strategies and combine them into a single system, one that generates consistent leads and is evergreen, meaning it works for you around the clock without your effort? Well, that's the system we help financial advisors install in their business. If you want to see exactly how it works, how the pieces fit together, and how advisors are using it to book consistent qualified appointments, I walk you through it step by step in a free training linked below. So click on the link below to watch. Thank you for being here and be blessed.